Hello and welcome to day 8 of the 1000 Days of No Code Challenge. Imagine running a busy restaurant with hundreds of people coming in. They order food, you serve them, but you do not make a note of who ordered what. Chaos, right? And that's precisely what happens if you don't have a database, right? Your users keep inputting on the front end, but it's not stored in the database because that's not connected. And that's what we are going to explore today. In the previous session, we have explored input elements, but we have not stored that data in the database. And so, right now, that particular page is like a restaurant which does not make a note of what the clients have ordered. So, let's ensure we understand database and let's connect those front end to the database. I think most of you would have used Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel. Database is much like that. Let's try to create a very simple database on Google Sheets and then replicate the same thing on Bubble so that you understand how it works when compared to Google Sheets. So if you are creating a database for a user, then we would have name, email, phone number, what else? Date of birth. So columns in Google Sheets are like fields in Bubble. Now let me rename this to user. Okay, and this sheet name is more like data type in Bubble. Now let's go to Bubble and see how we can map these fields in Bubble database. When we come to data tab, we have to go to data types. Okay, and you will see that there is a data type called user already created. When you create a new app in Bubble, Bubble already creates a data type called user. And when you're active on user data type, you can already see that email is being created. So let's create the other fields: name, phone number, and date of birth. So you can click on create a new field. Field name is called name. Field type is text. So let's see what are the available types. So we have text, number, numeric range, date range, date interval, yes or no field, file, image, and geographic address. We will cover these basic types as we move on. For now, let's understand text, and we will also use date for the date of birth. We need a phone number, which will also be stored as text. Remember this: if you're storing any data in the database, which is of type number, but you will not do any arithmetic operations on that, then better to store it as text. If you know that there is going to be some arithmetic operations done on that, then store it as number. For example, if you're doing count of items, if you're doing tax calculation, right, you might be doing some arithmetic calculation on that. And that's when you need to store it as number. But if you're doing a pin code, in India, pin codes are numeric, but few countries have pin code as alphanumeric. So always better to store it as text field. Let's come back and we're going to create date of birth, which we all know is of type date. So in the user data type, we have created name, phone number, and date of birth. I hope this was simple. Okay, so we just gave our app its brain to remember everything. Now that we have created a database, it can store the data and retrieve the data as and when needed. Now that we have a database, in the next video, let's uncover how do we connect the front end to the database to store the data that the users are inputting. Do not forget to share what you've learned on social platforms and inspire someone else.